It's Brad. It's a bonus video. Underappreciated games. We got to keep this one short. This one's for the people who don't like the long main video. I have not recorded it yet. I'm just saying it's going to be short. So we're about to find out. I guess you already know. I'm about to find out. First up, Shogun Showdown, a roguelike that hit 1.0 this year, and weirdly enough, I feel like not enough people were talking about it. Just a really neat idea. It's a little into the breach because you see the moves that are about to come out from the various enemies, but it's side-scrolling and you're working with the limited amount of space. But as like a samurai or a ninja, you have like maneuvers that can like push and pull enemies and like swap positions with enemies, and it's all about like taking the enemy and putting them in front of the attack that you can see coming and moving out of the way. It's just a really cool, quick, breezy roguelike that could be like surprisingly challenging because like one wrong move can fuck you up, but like it goes quick, so you want to like jump back into it. It's just a really cool roguelike idea. Highly recommend. Shogun Showdown. Boom. Look, fast. Not even a minute. We're killing it. Number 9, we have Arco, which is a game that, man, probably would have made my top 10 list if I had finished it, but I didn't finish it because, I don't know, it's like weirdly difficult. Like I get stuck in battles, like, and I'm fighting them over and over again because it's kind of a strategy RPG of sorts. What the hell is Arco? I don't know. You walk around, you talk to people, like it's surprisingly well written. Characters are surprisingly well realized, but like it's also not too talky. Like you're getting into conversations, but dialogue is kind of sparse in a good way. I don't know how to describe it, but it's mostly like a revenge tale, but you're from the perspective of different characters because, you know, fuck the colonizers. But I don't know. It has a nice look. The music is beautiful. The combat is like fairly unique, if a bit challenging, and it's just a really good vibe, this game. Arco, man, I really should have finished it. Y'all should try it. Hey, y'all, did y'all like Neon White? Of course you did, because Neon White's sick. Take Neon White and like put in like real guns and like headshots and stuff, and that's kind of I Am Your Beast, right? Which, I don't know, I guess games like this exist, but this one is made by Strange Scaffold, the people who made El Paso Elsewhere. And if you watched my video last year, you know I love El Paso Elsewhere because, you know, I think the writing is really good and the voice acting is really good, mostly because Zalaver Nelson, who does both of those things, is like maybe the most underappreciated dude working in the industry right now. And the story stuff, it's between combat encounters, and you know, it doesn't have all like the cinematic visual flair of El Paso Elsewhere, but it's like still so good. And then you get into these levels where you're going fast and like boom, headshot, and the music's pumping and you're like kicking ass, but then you fuck up, so you're gonna restart over and over and over again until you like perfect it and get the fucking B rank and A rank and S rank. It's just weirdly good. Y'all need to play I Am Your Beast. Next up, Dread Delusion. This was a RPG that hit 1.0 last year, so I finally decided to play it, and I'm glad I did. You know, I was kind of going into this expecting Morrowind because it kind of looks like an RPG from that era. It's not quite like a deep RPG mechanically like in that game. I'm not enchanting pants and making potions and whatnot, but it is a game where, man, I don't know, the world is like weirdly well put together. It's fun to explore just because it's I don't know, like look at it, man. Look at the sky. It's crazy. It reminds me the best of like, you know, the weirdness of Morrowind, and it might not be like mechanically deep, and the combat is a little too easy, but it's a game where, I don't know, like the story they're telling and the world that they've created is like surprisingly compelling. I'm reading every book I come across because it's just cool. It's a world where they killed all their gods and now they're all just kind of like sad and stuff and trying to figure things out. But I don't know, that makes sense. That's how it would probably be, right? I don't know. It's a game I was going in expecting to kind of be like the gross RPG sicko like I usually am, playing them for 100 hours, twice as long as anybody else, But it's a game I came out on the other end going, wow, this was just a nice like story game kind of, even though it was structured like an RPG. I don't know, Dread Delusion. It was an odd one, but one I definitely am glad I played. It's a vibe. At number 6, I have World of Goo 2. The sequel to a game I love. I bet a lot of y'all people don't even realize World of Goo 2 came out, because it's only on PC and it's only on the Epic Game Store, and I guess it's on Switch too. I don't know. I bet you people know it exists, but no one was talking about it. That's a little weird. I love World of Goo, and even though it's been like 15 years since the last game, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, because this game isn't really trying to reinvent the wheel. It kind of is just more World of Goo 2, flaws and all. Weirdly, I don't know. I feel like this would have made my top 10 list if they had more like quality of life features that you would see in a sequel that came out so long ago, but they didn't. It is World of Goo, but if you know World of Goo, it's just a really fun physicsy platformer with like a banging fucking soundtrack and weirdly like funny and smart like cutscenes and story, and all of that's here until chapter 4, where it becomes like, I don't even know. Just like, if you watched our award show, my runner-up for best moment of the year was chapter 4 of this game. I can't spoil it because it's like maybe the reason to play it, but it's like so strange and it goes places and it's pretty awesome. World of Goo, like soundtrack alone, play this game. It's so good and so fun. Man, I wish more people played it. Number 5, underappreciated games, Echo Point Nova. Open world, first-person shooter / hoverboard game where you have like a grappling hook and you can grind on things and you can pick up agility orbs, Crackdown style, and you're going like exploring and going to all these different floating islands, getting into these, bespoke combat challenges that are like weirdly fun to perfecting, kind of like I Am Your Beast, which I mentioned earlier, but like it feels so good to move around in this game and you feel like you're doing things you shouldn't be able to do. Like look at this footage. I'm doing insane shit on a controller. Like the game is just built for you to do crazy shit. I don't know, man. This one is all game feel. It's so much fun, and I don't know. Look at this shit. Just fucking look at it. I'm not even good at games, but like, it's not that hard to do. It's not hard to do the crazy shit that I'm doing. Echo Point Nova. Did I mention it's like an open world, like Tears of the Kingdom, like get to the different floating islands and like find the secrets? Agility orbs. Did I mention agility orbs? Have you played Crackdown? It's like the reason to play Crackdown, and that shit's here too. The secrets make you more powerful. You find hats, and they're like perks and stuff. I don't know, man. Just why is this not even on my top 10? This shit is so good. Look at it. Number 4, we have Dragon Age The Veilguard, which it's kind of sad. Like, what have we been, all indie games up to this point? This is not top 10 indie games. This is top 10 underappreciated games that not enough people played. And now that EA said that no one played it, I can comfortably put it on this list of games that are underappreciated, because it's like, it's not as bad as what people are saying. It's like pretty good. It's like the prettiest, most polished game that BioWare has released at launch. It's so weird. The action, it's got action combat, and we're not so happy that Dragon Age has that now. Sure, but like at least it doesn't like feel like shit like an Inquisition. Like it's actually pretty fun to do now. I don't know what fucking. The characters are good, and those conversations and those relationships are good, and the way they interact with you and the other characters is good. Like that's the good BioWare juice, and it's here. I'm telling you. And the main quest centers around Solas and the stuff that Solas got up to in Inquisition and afterwards, and like he's still one of the best written characters I think that BioWare has ever had, and like the story does kind of focus around him in like a pretty cool way. Like Veilguard, it's not my favorite RPG of the year, and it didn't make my top 10 list, but holy shit, it doesn't deserve the hate. Stop looking at viral stuff on TikTok and just try the game. It's better than you think. Dragon Age, fuck, weird. I don't think I've ever spoken for less than 8 minutes about a Dragon Age games on one of these videos. Weird.
A discordant refrain, and
Number 3. We're on 3. Rise of the Ronin, y'all. Let me tell you, this game is so much better than the way critics treated it. And I don't know if enough people like played this game, but it's Team Ninja doing another one of these. Although, it's not a Souls-like like the Neo games, which are games that I love. And I was a little like worried about that because, I feel like Wolong was a little like shallow and moving in the wrong direction. But now they're making like a completely different type of game here. It's sort of an open world Ubisoft style checklist game, and while the critics are so hating on that formula these days, like it's a good first effort from Team Ninja. It's not the prettiest game in the world, and it's not the most innovative open world game, but it is like an open world game that is surprisingly frictionless. Like it's easy to kind of like get around and to kind of get shit done, and it makes it kind of addictive. It doesn't have a lot of like the slow shit that really drags down some of these games these days, like a God of War game where you're like slowly moving and talking to people. No, man, you just get in and get out, and your fucking horse moves more like a fucking skateboard than an actual horse, but fuck it, you get to where you need to go, and you have a glider, and you can fast travel like super fast. But like that might sound kind of lame, but the reason that this game is actually sick is because it's Team Ninja and the combat is so good. The combat feels so good. There's so many different weapon types, and all of those weapon types have all these different like stances, like full move sets for those weapon types, and it just feels so good to like fuck things up and fucking cut limbs off and shit. Like it's just a really good game just to play for like the combat, but the open world stuff, while uninspired, doesn't get in the way, and because of that it becomes weirdly addictive. I 100% of the areas in this game because they made it easy to do, but you come back for the combat. That's what you're here for, and it's so good. Number 2 on my list of most underappreciated games of 2024 is Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, the spiritual successor to Suikoden from the original creators, one of those Kickstarter follow-ups. There's a lot of those, and a lot of those kind of underwhelm, and I maybe had low expectations going into this, but I was surprised. I was really surprised to find out that a lot of that magic, a lot of that Suikoden magic is still here. Like from the base building to the kooky characters that you can recruit from all over the world, and that stuff is so good, and they even like improved on some of that shit. Like the combat system is just a little bit deeper than it was in those original games, and like the base building actually has a little bit of like mechanics and trees and stuff behind like upgrading your castle, and it's just still so charming. There's a lot of like memorable characters and memorable personalities, and maybe the main story isn't the deepest thing in the world, and maybe the story beats are a little too reminiscent of what they were in the past, but like it's sort of those moments on the side where you're just like recruiting like these little oddball characters, which are they're still so good and they're still so addictive, and you want to like collect them all, and I don't know, that stuff's good here. I mean, the one-on-one battles and the war battles, they weren't like all that deep or challenging, but like they were like cinematic and nice. Like this game is like weirdly good looking at times, and I think because of that you expect like, oh well, this is a modern like throwback style JRPG. You expect some of those modern quality of life conveniences, and they're not all there. There's some of them are there, but not all there. But if you can like sort of go back to like play it like an old school JRPG these days and not get too bothered by some of those things, I think there's a lot to like here. I definitely recommend it. Like maybe play Suikoden first, but then like try this. It's like surprisingly good, and I had a lot of fun with it. Number 1, Lorne's Lure. Let me do my spiel. I always have a spiel here. That's that way back in like the mid 90s, when 3D platforming was in its infancy, there was 2 standouts. I feel like there was Mario 64, which kind of the default mascot 3D platformer, and then there was Tomb Raider, classic Tomb Raider, which is sort of the diverging path. This was like the realistic style platforming. You have fall damage, and it's really easy to die, and you're holding on to the hold button to like climb up things, you know. And those kind of games eventually became like Eco and like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and like those games were cool, right? Like coming out of the 90s, like this style of like more realistic platformer versus like the Mario mascot platformer. And then something happened. Games like Uncharted and God of War came out, and the platforming was more just about, you know, clambering around the sides of walls, and you couldn't even fall off, and they were just a vehicle for characters to like talk to each other. And while I think there's a place for that, something was lost. Something was lost in this style of platforming where there was actual stakes, where you didn't know if you were going to make a jump, and you were holding your breath, and you made the fucking jump, and then you fell off, and then you took fall damage and you died. That kind of platformer went away, and it makes me sad. And Lauren's Lure is that style of platforming, right? Where you really have to kind of look around the environment and figure out, how am I going to get there? And using those mechanics, you know, to like clamber your way up, and it just feels good to move around this world. And it's very atmospheric, and like it's very, you know, you're climbing these mega structures, and it's you know, I don't want to say the V word, but you know, it's just a game that gets me. It's a game I get it. This is like the grow home of this year for me. A game that, like, I understand if not everyone clicks with it, but like, man, this is exactly what I was looking for, exactly what I needed, and I absolutely love it. Lauren's Lure. Check it out. It's really cool, but turn on Explorers mode if you get too frustrated. Look at that. I did a video that wasn't 40 minutes long. Isn't that crazy? Underappreciated games. Check out some of these games. It's so cool. What a cool year. That's it. I'm out.